Hello, I'm Chris Jones. Croeso, welcome to today's Supply Chain Summit, tailored to the NHS. Now, this summit is part of a pan-Wales campaign to expand the supply chain to ensure that as many SMEs as possible are visible to buyers and are offered the support to find and bid for contracts. Business Wales are creating a data resource to enable Business Wales and Sell to Wales to match SMEs with tender opportunities which will support the foundational economy, i.e. buying goods and services closer to home. During the past couple of years, Business Wales have supported a number of events which have introduced new SME suppliers to organisations like the NHS, local authorities and Tier 1 construction contractors. This has resulted in an expansion of supply chains of more than 62% and a satisfaction level of 99.9% from those SMEs who have attended. Now, buyers are keen to expand their local supply chains even further, and so far SMEs have won millions of pounds of work through this model, using the Business Wales fully funded service to support them. Our first speaker is Hugh Thomas. Now, Hugh is the Director of Finance at Hywel University Health Board. Hugh comes from Pontcharn, near Llandyssil in Ceredigion, and has returned home to work for Hywel University Health Board after gaining experience in a number of different sectors and settings across the UK. So, Croeso, welcome Hugh. To start us off, how does your role as Director of Finance cut across the world of procurement?
I guess it's a critical part of the job to make sure that we're engaging with our suppliers and making sure that we work with our suppliers to get the best products in, the best services into our organisation to deliver best value to our patients.
So what are the financial pressures like, Hugh, in terms of trying to buy value for money goods and services, and what impact does that have on suppliers?
Yeah, clearly, financial challenges are always going to be something we need to pay close attention to. But as a major purchaser of products and services in West Wales, we spend about £950 million a year as a health board across the 3 counties of West Wales. Delivering value isn't just about making sure we're getting good value from the product or the service, but we need to also think more generally about the value we're providing to our local economy. And that's why I'm very keen and passionate about buying local and using our funding to generate opportunities within our local communities.
Is price the most important thing?
No, not at all. Price clearly plays a part in what we're looking at, but there are 2 other elements. The quality that we're providing to our service users, our patients, our staff, but also the value that gets generated within our local economy, and that is as important to me as price.
The foundational economy is an important goal for Welsh Government, of course, and for yourselves at Hywel. But what's the local supply chain looking like in West Wales, Hugh? What are the challenges?
Yeah, I think we struggle from both sides, actually. I can imagine that for suppliers in West Wales, often speaking with the health board is a challenge. We're a very big organisation to engage with. And for us as a health board, speaking with suppliers can be a challenge. And that's where clearly procurement play a very important role. And I think in West Wales in particular, we have a large number of small suppliers, which does make that relationship more challenging for us, but one that we need to overcome, and one that we are working with our procurement team now to make sure we are able to engage with a larger range of smaller suppliers, which we predominantly have in our communities in the West.
How can you engage with more local businesses? Are there particular products and services you are struggling to find suppliers for?
I'm open actually to the opportunities that our suppliers come to us with. Clearly, services, we require a wide range of services, and I won't even begin to explore those now. We're a very big, complex organisation, and services from clinical to operational to digital, they are all required by us. In terms of goods then, clearly we are a big consumer of food products and work locally, mainly through Castell Howell, but through other suppliers as well, to procure our food as locally as possible to our hospitals and where we use it. But the requirement goes well beyond that as well. So I'm very open to look at how we work with the suppliers that we have in West Wales, given the requirements we have as an organisation.
What are the benefits to the local economy for the foundational economy objectives?
For me, as a large purchaser, there is a big benefit in making sure that purchasing power is used locally, stimulates growth, stimulates opportunities for businesses. And from that kind of impetus, businesses are able to grow off the back of it and develop their offering and provide services clearly beyond our borders and beyond the range that we require. So it really is seeing this as an opportunity to pump prime some of that activity and stimulate our local economy.
So your team are working on the measurement of deprivation at a granular level within Howell Dda University Health Board. Can you explain more about this project here and how it's going?
Understanding deprivation is quite challenging, and we have been working on understanding the component parts of the Welsh Index of Multiple Deprivation, and deprivation has a number of underlying drivers, and distilling that into its components and across our communities. And we've got that down to quite a granular level now, so it's down at a ward level within our communities. But I'm very conscious that in doing that, we still haven't got it down to a household level. Deprivation clearly shows itself at a household level. But getting the level of understanding down to our ward level allows us to be far more targeted in the way in which we reach out to our communities with apprenticeship opportunities, job opportunities, and also think about working with our supply chain on how we offer job opportunities through the supply chain in some of those communities to I guess, disproportionately impact on that deprivation measure.
How much collaboration, sharing of procurement practices and signposting suppliers goes on in the various trusts across Wales, Hugh?
Yeah, there are 7 health boards in Wales, and there are 2 trusts, and we work, 3 trusts actually, and we work together quite closely through shared services. So we have NHS Wales Shared Service Partnership. And while it's a national organisation, they have procurement people embedded within each health board. And we work locally through our local team, and that local team shares practice back with other parts of Wales. But actually our local team also works quite closely with procurement teams within our 3 local authorities, in particular in West Wales, to understand how we can kind of collaborate on opportunities where they arise. Challenges in doing that, health and local authorities have quite different regulatory regimes and requirements, but we nonetheless try to do that wherever we possibly can.
So when building a new hospital or a major health structure, how do you work with your principal contractors to ensure that your values are maintained through the supply chain, and how do you actually monitor this?
Yes, and this is probably a developing area for us, and certainly not an area that we've got right. But we did see through the work of the pandemic actually, and setting up field hospitals across West Wales, that really engaging with local suppliers did give us a real advantage in West Wales, and there was a clear passion that came through that supply chain to deliver what was an incredibly challenging, an audacious challenge in many ways, to develop our field hospitals in kind of record speed. And in so doing, you could really sense that our whole supply chain had that same passion, same endeavour. So it has really emphasised to me the importance of engaging with people who are really vested in the success of our health service in the West, and really vested in doing the best for our patients and communities. So as part of our new developments now, we are certainly working with our main suppliers, and our main suppliers will largely be with ones with experience in developing and delivering large-scale, complex health capital builds, but working with them to make sure that there is a local supply chain element involved, and monitoring that through ongoing contractual relationship that we have with those main suppliers.
And how can suppliers engage with you and find opportunities?
I would say the obvious way would be to make sure that they engage with Business Wales, they engage on Sell to Wales. Those are Sell to Wales is a platform we use regularly and quite heavily, and of course developing relationships locally with us and our procurement team, and very keen to have those conversations to understand what opportunities there may be. But Business Wales clearly has a key role here to play in bringing suppliers and our procurement and our delivery teams together.
Diolch Hugh, thank you very much for that. Okay, now we turn next to Rob Type from the Aneurin Bevan Services Partnership. Rob is the acting head of procurement and has over 25 years experience in various purchasing, procurement, supply chain and change management environments in both private and public sectors. Okay, so hello Rob, diolch yn fawr iawn. Now, I understand you've been working closely with Business Wales and you're a strong advocate of expanding your local supply chain. So how is this going, first of all, and how do you see it benefiting Aneurin Bevan and your local communities?
We've been working with Business Wales over the course of the pandemic period. This resulted in us running a online how to do business with Aneurin Bevan Health Board back in the autumn of 2020, which we felt was a strong success, both with a number of organisations that participated in the online event, and also the follow-ups in terms of the suppliers who were then able to see some tender opportunities and were able to tender, and on some instances actually win some contracts with the Health Board. So what we'd like to do is build on the relationship we've built with the Business Wales staff to do more of these type events in the future, more of the meet the buyer style events, ultimately to give local companies the ability to tender for and win health board contracts.
Okay, so has the COVID pandemic and indeed Brexit maybe made you look closer to home, and what successes can you share with us maybe?
Yes, I think going back just over 2 years at the outset of the pandemic, some local companies very quickly, if not overnight, reprofiled their business activity with the aim of supporting the NHS in Wales. A good example would be some companies in the Gwent region who turned their production from coffee manufacturing into visor production, and literally you're talking over the space of probably 2 to 3 days. So there's some real benefits of dealing with local suppliers on that front, in that we were supporting them through a very difficult period of the pandemic economically, and also they were supporting the NHS in terms of supplying products that were essential for us, fight against COVID-19 at the outset.
Speaking of COVID, Rob, how challenging has this been for your team in terms of staff resources, pressures, and keeping the supply chain moving?
At the outset of the pandemic in March 2020, there was an incredible upturn in demand of work for procurement services to support the products, the goods and services that we needed almost immediately within the health board, both in terms of new goods and services and also a massive increase in the volume of products we were already buying. So it was a huge challenge for the team and also colleagues across procurement services, NHS Wales wide. The staff were working all the hours possible, albeit in a virtual capacity with the use of Skype and then Microsoft Teams. But I think the staff really rose to the challenge and stood up to the task in front of them with some real great resilience and ultimately supported the continued provision of patient care across NHS Wales.
So looking to the future now, where can suppliers find your pipelines and what barriers are there for them to become a supplier to an Erin Bevan?
The main area that suppliers can view the opportunities from an Erin Bevan Health Board is on the CELTA Wales website, the national procurement website that's been in place for nearly 20 years now, but it's our main advertising portal. I feel the main barrier suppliers feel is the actual access to the tender opportunities to start with, and even the quotations that we put out to the market. So what I want to do with the support of Business Wales is make sure that local companies are aware of these opportunities, not just the large contracts that we put out on CELTA Wales, but the smaller end where we're looking for 3 quotations from local suppliers. So I want to have some visibility to the local supply base of these opportunities. And that comes from not just the divisions across the health board, but from my local team, my local purchasing team as well. There's something I really want to change focus on in the team, with this source local mentality becoming embedded in the thinking of the team and how they operate on a daily and weekly basis.
Okay, thanks Rob. So where can they find a solution therefore to these barriers and maybe obtain support?
What I want to do with the local team in an Erin Bevan in procurement is have some dedicated points of contact for suppliers and supply chain in South Wales to be able to contact. I feel, again, it might be a perception thing. The suppliers feel we are a bit of a faceless team and we can't be contacted and we hide behind emails. But I really want to change that emphasis now so that we've got some dedicated contact points in the team. And that's what I'm looking to do in terms of engaging more with local suppliers and ultimately supporting all the foundational economy themes.
What areas of your supply chain are you happy with the local source, and where would you like to see more local sourcing, Rob?
I feel we're quite strong with our links with local suppliers in the areas of construction and the provision of non-medical supplies and services in general. I do feel though we have an opportunity to engage and develop our contractual relationships further with Welsh companies who are in the area of supply of medical equipment and consumables.
Now, suppliers may think that you only buy medicines and scanners maybe, but there must be a whole array of things you need every day to keep your hospitals going, of course. So what type of goods and services would be attractive to an Erin Bevan suppliers?
Type of goods and services supplied to the health board is vast and very wide-ranging and quite eye-opening actually when you drill down into the detail. We have an ongoing programme of capital works, construction works. We have our hospitals that are equipped with medical products, equipment like MRIs and CT scanners, and a whole raft of consumable material or consumable products that are used by the staff on a day-to-day basis. We've got foodstuffs being supplied to feed patients, feed staff across the sites of the NHS. We have high expenditure on IT, both hardware and software. And we have we have staff that we need to utilise on a temporary basis that we buy in from nursing agencies or non-medical agencies. So as you can tell from that, the range of goods and services purchased in by NHS Wales, which is to the tune of £2 to £2.5 billion a year, is very vast.
Is there any reason that local SMEs should be scared or maybe put off in any way in finding and bidding for work with you?
No, not at all. I think throughout the COVID pandemic, I think it's driven home to us in the health board how important the local suppliers are to us. We have got some very difficult economic times ahead of us as NHS Wales, and obviously suppliers are feeling the pinch as well on increasing operating costs in areas like fuel and utility bills and in foodstuffs. So if we can source more locally and spend more locally with local suppliers, then that's of mutual benefit to us as a health board in terms of sustainability and sustainable procurement, and also to the suppliers in terms of increasing their business and their sales with a large public sector organisation. So hopefully this should be a win-win situation for both the buyers and sellers of the goods and services.
Okay, and finally then, if there was one thing, one message for suppliers to take away from this summit, what do you think that would be?
The support is out there for the suppliers. Business Wales have offered the support over the last few years and continue to do so in the future. We've got the links built with Business Wales between NHS Procurement Services and Business Wales, and we really want to develop and nurture these links for the benefit of suppliers so they are able to tender for and win NHS contracts.
Good, thank you very much for that. Okay, so our case study today is W.R. Bishop with Chris Bishop. W.R. Bishop are a family business supplying fresh produce and provisions to the catering industry. And Chris is going to tell us all about the support he's received from Business Wales.
W.R. Bishop are a family business supplying fresh produce, dairy produce and provisions to the catering industry, local authorities and the NHS. Over the last 60 years, our business has grown to supply over 2,000 deliveries a week, including to schools in 6 local authorities and 6 NHS health boards across South Wales. We also supply catering firms and restaurants all over South Wales region. In 2021, we moved to a bespoke brand new warehouse near Pontyclun, and today we employ 40 people across our businesses in Pontyclun and Cardiff. Our major customers include local authority contracts, schools and social services, and the NHS, which makes up a large percentage of our business. These major customers are vital to our sales planning, as the contracts mean we can plan in advance for things like vehicles, equipment, and staff job security. Also, we can plan for regular secure volumes of business, so we can negotiate competitive pricing with our suppliers, which in turn helps us compete for other contracts, which we're looking to tender for. We actually began to supply the NHS approximately 50 years ago. More recently, all public sector contracts we apply for are published digitally through the Sell to Wales website. As a director of a Welsh business, I can say it's extremely important for Welsh businesses to be able to tap in to public sector supply chains. The Sell to Wales system matches public sector tendering opportunities with suitable suppliers, and tenders are published on a daily basis. To ensure that a business registered on Sell to Wales receives relevant opportunities, it's vital that the alert section is completed properly. The company must complete a written profile that gives the potential customer an idea about the business. Simple details like how long you've been operating, the number of employees you have, and what is the main focus area of your business. It may also be interesting to note any accreditations, such as food safety standards or environmental and sustainability accreditations. It's also worth noting if you're a family-run business or any other relevant or interesting facts. It's also important to match a company's range of products to the Sell to Wales product codes, as well as the geographical locations you can operate in. This helps make sure that relevant opportunities will show up in email alerts you receive from Sell to Wales. Although Brexit didn't affect our business as much as we imagined it would, we were, however, affected by delays of fresh produce coming into the UK, shortages of some fresh produce items, and price rises which affected us and obviously our customers. During this time, we literally had to try and sustain the business to carry on trading. The government continuity grants for SMEs and the furlough scheme helped us to continue and retain our staff for when business were able to reopen. We were helped massively by the Free School Meals initiative, which actually saw over 1.5 million food boxes delivered across the region by Caerphilly Council. We turned to Business Wales for advice and support on sustainability to help us with our tender applications and to retain existing contracts. We were introduced to sustainability advisors from Business Wales who visited our premises and gave us some great advice. This advice led us to achieve the Green Dragon environmental standard, which directly helped win a contract tender, and the advice will definitely help support our future growth. Some of the advice was how to better use technology, how to use GPS to plan our routes in a more efficient way, to minimise diesel consumption and to reduce costs. Although the contract tenders can look a little daunting at first, our Business Wales advisor helped familiarise us with the documents on the e-tendering portal so that we could fully understand the document and ensure we could provide all the correct information about our company. The support we have received from Business Wales has helped us tremendously as a Welsh family business, and we hope we'll continue to work with them. Our plans for the future include maintaining our current contracts while remaining competitive to tender for new contracts. We'll also continue to source for new products and provisions that we can offer to our customers. We have been aware of the fully funded business support for a few years now, which is a great benefit to Welsh businesses in sourcing National Procurement Wales contracts. I think any Welsh SME should seriously consider taking advantage of the one-to-one support and workshops. We've had some great help, especially from tendering advisors. They've helped us guide us through the e-tendering portals, which can be quite daunting at first. I would fully recommend any Welsh firm to approach Business Wales, even if they feel they are not in a position to do so right now. It's vitally important for interested companies to understand how to tender for Welsh public sector procurement contracts and the requirements needed for doing so. I'm sure many will find that after Business Wales' experts demonstrate what is possible, they will likely discover there are more opportunities available than they would have imagined.
And that brings us to the end of the presentations. Thank you so much to all the speakers and all their input, of course. So to reiterate, how can you get involved? Now, to ensure that you can be matched, Business Wales are encouraging you, of course, to register with Sell to Wales, which is a vital business development tool to find contract opportunities within the public and the private sector. It's free to register and free to use. Approximately £6.5 billion is advertised each year on Sell to Wales, and roughly 80% of the contracts are smaller opportunities, ranging from £1,000 to £50,000. So there are opportunities out there for businesses of all types and all sizes. As they say, you've got to be in it to win it. So the Business Wales regional teams will be contacting you following this event to support you with your registrations and the other initiatives that have been discussed during this summit. So from me, Ulvar.